Yeah, good morning to one and all. So, welcome to the session. This is the JEE Mains 2021 paper analysis, phase 3, 25th July, shift 1. So, chemistry session. This is. So, let us see how the paper is. Yeah, look at the first question here. So, in the combustion of butane, 72 grams of water is produced. The amount of butane taken initially is. So, butane, which is butane, which is C4H10. So, combustion gives rise to 4CO2 plus 5H2. So, 8 13 by 2 oxygen, right? So now what they're asking here, they have given 72 grams of water is produced. 72 grams of water which is produced. The amount of butane taken initially. So actually here butane is going to be 4 into 12 plus 10, that is 48 plus 10, 58 grams. So for 58 grams we will get 5 into 18 grams of water. Then what about the for 72 grams? Then how much amount of butane we have to consider? 72 into 58 divided by 5 into 18. So this could be the answer for this. It's a simple stoichiometric expression, nothing more, nothing less. Right? Clear? Now let us move to the next one. Yeah. Now let's come to the next question. So for the reaction, so for the reaction, A plus B gives rise to 2C. This could be the reaction. Initially, 1 mole of each A, B and C are considered in 1 liter vessel. Therefore, it becomes concentration now. So, therefore, this is 1 molar, 1 molar, 1 molar. Now, initial time t is equals to 0, right? So, now this is 1 minus x, 1 minus x, 1 plus 2x. Given that equilibrium concentration is 100. So now Kc is equals to concentration of C whole square divided by concentration of A into concentration of B, that is 1 plus 2x whole square divided by 1 minus x into 1 minus x. Here equilibrium concentration is given as 100, that is 1 plus 2x divided by 1 minus x is equals to 10. Therefore 1 plus 2x is equals to 10 minus 10x, that is, which implies that 12x is equals to 9, which implies that x is equals to 9 divided by 12. So 3 divided by 4, x equals to 3 divided by 4. Then the concentration of C at the state of equilibrium. Concentration of C is equals to 1 plus 2x, that is 1 plus 1.5, that is equals to 2.5. So 2.5 into, so 25 into 10 power minus 1, therefore x is equals to 25. X equals to 25 here. Right? Next. Yeah. In the leaching of bauxite, which oxide is leached out using sodium hydroxide? Actually, sodium hydroxide is having the basic property, right? So, in the leaching of bauxite, what is bauxite actually? Al2O3 2H2O. This is impure, right? Whenever it is reacted with the sodium hydroxide NaOH, it will give NaLO2, sodium meta-aluminate it gives. Sodium meta-aluminate. Now this sodium meta-aluminate upon hydrolysis gives AlOH taken thrice. This formed AlOH taken thrice. 2 moles of this formed AlOH taken thrice upon heating gives Al2O3 plus H2. So who is going to be leached here? Al2O3 will be leached. So the process of leaching here, where we will use the process of leaching, one is the extraction of the silver, another one is the extraction of gold, another one is going to be in the case of the bauxite. So in these three cases that we are going to leach out. Leached out or leaching process is nothing but a repeated treatment of the solvent. Repeated treatment of solvent. In the case of silver, what is the leaching? What is that solvent? That is either NaCN or KCN, there the complex can be formed. Right? In the case of gold as well as in the case of the silver. Whereas in the case of this one here, sodium hydroxide is to be treated. Right. Next. Next one. Among the following, among the given oxides, CrO3, V2O5, Fe2O3, MnO2, the correct increasing order of oxidation state of a metal. The correct increasing order of oxidation state of a metal. What could be the correct oxidation state of a metal? For chromium, oxidation state +6. For vanadium pentoxide +5. For Fe2O3 +3. Whereas for MnO2 +4. So therefore, what could be the order? That is CrO3 is greater than, V2O5 is greater than, MnO2 is greater than, and Fe2O3. So now you can check with the options. Right. Next. Find the concentration of Fe+2 required to reduce 15 ml of 0.1 molar K2Cr2O7. So here the best thing to do, what could be the best thing to do here? It is going to be, we can consider the number of equivalents. So number of equivalents of Fe+2 should be equals to number of equivalents of Cr2O7 2 minus. Number of equivalents of Fe+2 is equals to number of equivalents of Cr2O7 2 minus. That is what we have to consider. So now here number of equivalents of Fe+2 is equals to number of equivalents of Cr2O7, that is normality of Cr2O7 into volume of Cr2O7, molarity into X factor into volume V. So what is the molarity of Cr2O7 here? Cr2O7 2 minus 0.1. Its X factor is going to be 6 because Cr2O7 2 minus, when it reacts with Fe+2, gives rise to converted to Fe+3 along with 2Cr3 plus. So now here this is going to be 6 electrons gets transferred. Here 1 electron gets transferred. And here the volume is going to be 15. So these are the number of equivalents. And here number of equivalents of Fe+2, concentration we have to find out, right? So now here this is 10 into normality. So 5 2s are, 5 3s are, and this is 2 3s are, that is equals to normality is equals to 0.9. Normality of Fe+2 or molarity of Fe+2. Since its X factor is equals to 1, therefore either normality of Fe+2 ion or molarity of Fe+2 ion, both of them are going to be equal, which is absolutely 0.9. Right? Next. This is another one more elementary thing, kind of reaction, which is Na plus, K plus, Mg plus 2 and Al plus 3. So when you consider this Na plus, Mg plus 2, Al plus 3, here we have, these are isoelectronic species, right? 10 electrons, here also 10 electrons, and this is also 10 electrons. These are all isoelectronic species. So when it comes to isoelectronic species, for the cation, as the charge increases, ionic radius will be decreases. Therefore, who will be having the more size? Na plus is greater than Mg plus 2 is greater than Al plus 3. But when compared with Na plus and K plus, this belongs to, or where it is absolutely present, third period, and this is going to be present in the fourth period. From Na plus to K plus, the size is going to be increases. Therefore, here K plus comes first when compared with Na plus, then after Mg plus 2, then after Al plus 3. So here in this way that we have to work out sodium, magnesium, aluminium here, and here we will be having the potassium like this. So first A group element, second A group element, third A group elements. As we all know that from left to right it is going to be decreased, and moreover no need to use that one because they have already given in the case of the in the form of the ions. Therefore, from left to right this will be decreased. So these are having the maximum. Down the group again it is going to be increased. Therefore, potassium will be having the maximum. K plus is greater than Na plus, then after Mg plus 2, then after Al plus 3. So this is very elementary thing, and these kind of questions we never missed out in any exam. Right. Next. Henry's law constant for carbon dioxide in water is 0.85 into 2 into 10 cube bar. How many millimoles of carbon dioxide would dissolve in 0.9 liters of water? Assume carbon dioxide gas exert partial pressure of 0.853. So it could be little difficult because of this calculation. So we know that Henry's law is nothing but partial pressure of the gas is equals to Henry's constant into mole fraction of the gas. Henry's constant of that gas. So what is the partial pressure exerted by the gas? 0.853 is equals to Henry's constant 0.835 into 2 into 10 cube into mole fraction of the gas. Right? So what is the mole fraction of the gas here? Number of moles of carbon dioxide divided by number of moles of carbon dioxide plus number of moles of H2O. Okay, right? So now this is 0.853 divided by 0.835 into 2 into 10 cube. That is equals to number of moles of carbon dioxide divided by, usually when compared with the number of moles of, when compared with the solvent, number of moles of gas is usually this is going to be very less. That's why here I can write number of moles of CO2 plus number of moles of H2O are approximately equals to number of moles of number of moles of H2O solvent, here number of moles of H2O. Therefore, number of moles of H2O, that is number of moles of CO2 is equals to, what is the number of moles of H2O here? Actually they have given here 0.9 liters of water. 0.9 liters of water. 0.9 liters which means 900 ml. 900 ml which means 900 grams. Because anyway they would have given, this is absolutely memory based one. That's why they did not mention every information. Actually density of water is equals to 1 gram per cc, such that by substituting that one I can get the weight of water is equals to 900 grams. 900 divided by 18. This is the value of number of moles of water, which implies that number of moles of CO2 is equals to 0.853 divided by 0.835 into 2 into 10 cube into 900 divided by 80. So by just calculating this one we can get the value of this. It might be 0.853 also, it might have been, I'm not very much sure about that value. So by calculating this one we can get our answer, right? So this is absolutely memory based one, that's why it could be one decimal here or there. Okay, I guess you can understand. Next, which of the following does not exist? So this is very frequently asked question. Very frequently asked question. Like we'll see this one. SiF6 minus 2. SiF6 minus 2 can be formed when HF, when it is reacted with the SiO2, nothing but silica or glass, it is going to first form SiF4. Then after excess amount, it is going to give SiF6 minus 2. orthofluorosilicic acid, SiF6 minus 2 can be formed. But here, silicon is having the d orbitals or not? Yes, silicon is having the vacant d orbitals, but the fluorine size is very small. Therefore, it is able to form SiF6 minus 2. That is absolutely correct. But when it comes to SiCl6 minus 2, chlorine size is bigger. That's why the smaller silicon cannot accommodate 6 chlorine atoms or 6 chloride ions around itself. That's why SiCl6 minus 2 does not exist. Similar kind of thing, another one more is there for us, that is SF6, SCl6. SF6 can be formed, SCl6 does not form because of the same reason. So here smaller fluorines, 6 fluorines can be surrounded one sulfur, but here in the case of 6 chlorines cannot accommodate one sulfur here. That is what you have to look at over there. So SCl6 does not exist, SF6 can exist. And here GeCl6 minus 2, OH taken 6 times minus 2, these are all can exist because of the larger size of germanium, larger size of the tin, they can exist. But silicon is having the smaller size, that's why it is able to accommodate 6 fluorines, but not 6 chlorines. That's why SiCl6 minus 2 cannot exist. This is very frequent question to be asked everywhere. Right. Next one. Which of the following complex is active in magnetic field? Which of the following complex which is active in magnetic field? So, which one is active in magnetic field? Iron you consider here. FeH2O taken 6 times plus 3. If you consider this, now Fe plus 3 oxidation state. We have Fe plus 3 oxidation state. So when you have Fe plus 3 oxidation state over there, actually this is 4s2 3d6. Fe plus 3 it becomes 3d5. So number of unpaired electrons are is equals to 5. So magnetic moment mu is equal to square root of 5 into 5 plus 2. That is equal to square root 35 Bohr magneton. So actually magnetic moment mu is equal to square root of n into n plus 2 Bohr magneton. This is the formula. Here n is equal to number of unpaired electrons. Number of unpaired electrons. Let us check. Here number of unpaired electrons are 5. Here how many number of unpaired electrons are there? Actually 4s2 3d7, right? 4s2 3d7 plus 3 oxidation state d6. In the presence of the strong ligand, it becomes all of them are get paired up. Number of unpaired electrons are is equal to 0. This is actually 4s2 3d8. Actually we have 4s2 3d8. In the presence of the strong ligand carbon monoxide, all the electrons get paired up. It becomes a d10, 3d10. Number of unpaired electrons are is equal to 0. 4s2 3d8. But here oxidation state is equal to Na plus 2, right? Na plus 2, d8. In the presence of the strong ligand, all of them get paired up. dsp2 hybridization, this is number of unpaired electrons here are is equals to 0, right? So this is the only active which we have so far, right? Among those options, right? Next. Empirical formula of a given octahedral complex CrCl3, 3NH3, 3H2O. It precipitates 3 moles of AgCl. It precipitates 3 moles of AgCl, which means 3 chloride ions will be present outside of the square bracket. Right? What is the secondary valency of the central atom? What could be the secondary valency? No need to do this also. Actually, they are asking, this is a octahedral complex. For an octahedral complex, what is the secondary valency? 6. So it should have been like this: Cr, NH3 taken thrice, H2O taken thrice, and 3 chlorines will be present outside of the square bracket. Now 3 moles of AgNO3 when they reacted, therefore it can give 3 moles of AgCl. Here the secondary valency is equals to 6. Done. Next, no need to do that. It's a simple, actually it is a free hit. Next, for a process delta H fusion 2.41 calorie per mole and delta H vaporization 98.6 kilocalorie per mole, then delta H sublimation will be is equals to delta H sublimation is equals to delta H fusion plus delta H vaporization. Why? Sublimation. What happened in the case of the sublimation? A solid state substance will be directly converted to the vapor state. But whereas in the case of fusion, what happens? Solid will be converted to the liquid, and in the case of vaporization, liquid can be converted to the gaseous phase. Now this is delta H fusion, this is delta H vaporization. Now the sum of these two, liquid gets cancelled. Now solid will be converted to the gaseous phase. Delta H sublimation is equals to delta H fusion plus delta H vaporization. But here when you are adding them, you need to be really careful because it is kilocalories per mole. So when it comes to the kilocalories per mole, this is only calorie per mole. Look at this, watch out. 98.6 into 10 cube plus 2.41 calorie per mole. That is what you have to really take careful. Otherwise, you just add like this. Then after you can convert it to the kilocalories, you can get your answer. Next one. Which of the following statement is correct? HH bond strength is equal to DD bond strength. Here one principle we need to remember, that is the isotope, the higher isotope which is always having the more bond strength when compared with the lower isotope mass number. That is when compared with the hydrogen like protium, deuterium is always having a more bond strength. Therefore, when compared with HH bond strength, DD bond strength will be more. So, if you consider H2, HD and D2, what is the bond strength actually? This is HD is greater than H2. If I am not wrong, this is 436 kilojoules, and this is going to be around some 450 kilojoules if I'm not wrong. So approximately all these are correct. So this lies in between among those two. So when compared with D2, H2 is having the lesser bond strength. Which of the following Miceli formation is correct for the sodium stearate? Miceli formed are spherical with the hydrocarbon part towards the center of the sphere. Actually, how the miceli is going to be formed? For example, if we consider this is the sodium stearate, actually when the concentration is less, if the concentration is less, therefore they are going to align in such a direction like this. So this is a hydrophobic part, and this is a hydrophilic part. But when it is forming when it forms the miceli, therefore it will be like this. Hydrophobic part will be inside and hydrophilic part will be outside. So this is the answer. Hydrophobic part will be inside towards the center of the sphere. Next, from the graphs given below, select the correct statements. Okay, half-life versus concentration. Half-life versus concentration, both are same, and concentration versus time, and this is concentration versus time. So now we have to check these half-life versus concentration time. Actually, we know that T half is directly proportional to A power n minus 1. If n is equals to 0, T half is directly proportional to A. Both the half-life as well as initial concentration, both of them are directly proportional, such that for the zero order reaction, half-life as well initial concentration, both of them are directly proportional. Therefore, one is going to be half-life versus concentration, one will be the zero order. When it comes to the first order half-life, for the first order it is going to be like this. Next, for the zero order, as we know that k is equals to x divided by 2. But k is equals to x means Here we can write this one as a minus x. Can we write this? Divided by t. Therefore, k is equals to initial concentration A naught minus AT divided by t, which implies that concentration of A at a time t is equals to minus kt plus A naught. Therefore, it is looking like y is equals to minus mx plus c with a negative slope time. Yeah, this is for zero order. Absolutely, this is for zero order as well as this is also for zero order. Both are for the zero order. First one and fourth one are zero order. Second one and third one will be the first order. Yeah, first order with respect to the time, concentration is going to be decreases like this. Here, this is not half-life. The print is not clear here. This is initial concentration versus rate. Initial concentration versus rate. Therefore, this is correct. Therefore, option B is correct. Initial concentration versus rate. This graph is correct. This is also correct. Concentration versus time is correct. This for zero order. These two are going to be true. Absolutely true. No doubt about it. Next. Which of the following protein is soluble in water? So albumin is globular protein, so which is soluble in water. Remaining all of them are not globular proteins and they are not soluble, which is purely based on the theory. Next, which of the following is not used for a drying agent? Which of the following which is not used for the drying agent? Liquid carbon dioxide, acid, H2O2, so it can be used as a drying agent. And when it comes to CCl2 double bond CCl2, which never used it in the drying agent as a drying agent, right? So what can be used as a drying agents? For example, in the case of the bases, calcium oxide can be used, P4O10 can be used in the case of acids, and P4O10 or P2O5, whatever it is. H2SO4 can be used as a drying agent. Carbon dioxide also can be used as a drying agent. These are all can be used as a drying agent, not this alkene. CH3MgBr reacts with the following to give methane gas. CH3MgBr, when it reacts with H2S, it has the tendency to release H plus, therefore it can be converted to methane. Here CH3MgBr, when it reacts with the H2O, it gives methane gas. And here CH3MgBr, when it reacts with ammonia, yes, it has a tendency to release H plus ion, methane. So active proton, active protonated compounds. When CH3MgBr reacts with any active protonated compound, definitely which are going to be give, which will give methane gas. Right? Clear? Number of sigma bonds. This is going to be a peanut for all of you. This is a free heat, absolutely free heat. So the number of sigma bonds, what are the sigma bonds here? 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is going to be 10. So how many sigma bonds are there? Yes, right. 10 sigma bonds are there. We just write the structure and we are going to tell the how many number of sigma bonds are there. If they ask the pi bonds, then we can tell that. How many pi bonds are there? This is 1 and these are 2. 3 pi bonds are there. Number of carbon atoms which are present on the plane, number of hydrogen atoms which are present on the plane also we can easily tell, because this is anyway linear, and here this is also going to be the, of course this is not going to be present linear, therefore these two carbons are definitely going to be present on one plane, right? Next. Given structure, so given structure is going to be, yeah, if there is actually if there is any branch for it, therefore that is going to be bakelite. but this is Novolac. Novolac is a linear polymer. Bakelite is going to be the branched polymer. Bakelite is a branched polymer, whereas Novolac is going to be the linear polymer, right? So maybe the theory which is not given properly, so I am just skipping this question. The content is not there properly. So now what is going to be the CH3MgBr again, Grignard reagent they have given. Bond is polarized. So here bond will be polarized. Negative charge here, positive charge. CH3 is going to be attacked here. And then after we will get here O minus MgBr. So what will be the formed one? OMgBr, and here we will be having the CH3. Now we are doing the hydrolysis. When we do the hydrolysis, so what will be the formed compound here? This is the methyl group we have. Here we will be having the OH. This could be the compound that will be formed. Next. Primary aromatic amine cannot be prepared by Gabriel thalamide synthesis. True. So Gabriel thalamide synthesis, what can be prepared? Only primary amines can be prepared. Those are aliphatic amines, not even secondary as well as tertiary, because it is going to follow SN2 mechanism. That's why secondary as well as tertiary amines as well as aromatic amines also cannot be prepared. Right? That statement is going to be absolutely true. Next, aryl halides cannot be undergo nucleophilic substitution reactions. Aryl halides, correct. It can undergo electrophilic substitution reactions, but not nucleophilic substitution reactions. Because aromatic character, they can act as a nucleophiles. They always wait for the electrophiles. Like you can take Br plus or Cl plus or something like CH3 plus. If you react with even NO2 plus, nitration, so chlorination, bromination, these can undergo because they are all electrophiles. They can act as electrophiles. They can undergo electrophilic substitution reaction because aryl, that nucleus can act as excellent nucleophile. That's why they cannot combine with the nucleophile. These are, both of them are okay, but this is a separate statement and this is another separate statement. Both statements are true, but there is no correlation between them. That's why A is true, R is true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Next, which of the following will react with NaHCO3 and evolves carbon dioxide gas? Actually, who can react with NaHCO3 and evolve carbon dioxide gas? Usually, carboxylic acids could do that, and not usually phenols cannot give. Phenols can react with sodium hydroxide, right? Isn't it? But here, in the case, what they have given, trinitrophenol, picric acid. Because of the presence of these NO2 groups, 3 NO2 groups, the acidic character of this phenol is going to be increased enormously. That's why it is able to react with the sodium bicarbonate and it can liberate the carbon dioxide gas, similar in the case of the any other carboxylic acid. So now its pKa value is almost equal to that particular carboxylic acid pKa, right? Next. Yeah, we might have, yeah, we missed this question. Now let us see this. So now we have here, they have given one ketone, dimethyl substituted ketone given. Here whenever we react with sodium hydroxide, so here from here the carbanion is going to be formed. Now it is going to be reacted with CH3C double bond OH. Bond will be polarized, nothing but aldol condensation. So what will be the formed compound here? This is here methyl group is there, double bond O, and now this is going to be CH3 CHUOH. Now you are doing haloform reaction, that is reacting with NaOH along with I2. Yes, definitely it can undergo haloform reaction. and it is going to produce the compound double bond O COONA minus Na plus along with the CH3 can be formed. But now they have given excess of hydrolysis also. Now when it undergo hydrolysis, this is going to give a carboxylic acid, double bond O. Now this will be COOH, such that the compound is going to be option A. Option A will be the answer, right? This is the mechanism. Here this becomes, there are two possibilities, either carbanion can be formed here as well as here, but in the options carbanion forming here is not at all going to be matched. That's why I have taken the carbanion which is to be formed here. But anyway, if the carbanion formed here, the probability of formation of the product is going to be less. That's why we were not considered this carbanion, rather this carbanion. Okay, clear? So is everything over? Yeah, we have gone through almost every question except one question, that data is not finished. So we have done with that session, shift 1. So we'll meet in the second shift, right? Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.